Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I'm your host, the voice of reason. So, in this update of the ongoing Ukrainian Russian conflict, I wanted to discuss the choices of the Russian Federation. I wanted to try and put myself in the shoes of Vladimir Putin and look at the options that Russia has when facing the possibility that he could wake up one morning and find Ukraine a member of NATO, which would place a NATO state very, very close to Moscow. And again, with very little strategic terrain features to protect itself in that case could be very disturbing for the Russian Federation. But first, what's going on in terms of the continued hostilities, the rhetoric, and the troop buildup? Well, the rhetoric continues, and it is incredibly hostile, probably more hostile than I have ever seen it in the past. And what makes the rhetoric so dangerous is there is open discussion about immediately joining NATO. There is even discussions about the possibility of some sort of lend-lease of military equipment. I mean, it's really kind of getting out of hand now, quite frankly. And but again, what does Russia do? You wake up, you find yourself facing the prospects of Ukraine that is now part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And again, that would put that Western Bloc very close to some very strategic cities within Russia itself, and then obviously the existing NATO bloc, which exists further north in terms of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. But I think Russia is probably looking at the Dnieper River. And if hostilities were to commence, again, I do not believe Russia, outside of a full mobilization, would have the capability of a full conquest of Ukraine. However, that's not to say it could launch a fairly significant offensive and seize all lands east of the Dnieper River. That would serve twofold. First, it would give Russia a significant defensive terrain feature between the prospects of a North Atlantic Treaty Organization push into Ukraine. And it would also give Russia the possibility of creating a second republic that is sympathetic to Russia, and it would probably be something along the lines of Eastern Ukraine. So could we see a East Ukraine and a North Ukraine, just as we have seen a South Korea and North Korea? We've seen the partitions of Yemen. We've seen East Germany and West Germany. So why not a partition of the Ukraine? I think that is a possibility that could be looked at. And again, it would give the Russians the ability to hold a major terrain feature that would separate kind of the eastern and western blocks. Ukraine would still control its capital a bit, with Russian forces very close to that capital. But again, that terrain feature, I think, would give the Russians the confidence that it would not have to worry about a Ukraine inside of NATO. Then, and I would presume that would probably happen pretty quickly if the conflict indeed does not spiral out of control. I think Russia also, if the conflict does start to get out of control, I believe Russia has to look at Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And a seizure of those republics would not be difficult and could act as a bargaining chip, or possibly could act as a measure to, in fact, collapse the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. As I would assume, some nations would not immediately ready itself for war against Russia and would not honor its Title V commitments, thereby making NATO irrelevant. And I think, again, this is probably some options that Russia is looking at, but again, the rhetoric is incredibly intense right now, and as is the troop buildup with forces from 3 different military districts on the way to the Ukrainian border, both the western, the southern, and the central military districts. And there could be more that we simply are not aware of yet, and I wouldn't doubt that at all. There are some additional airborne and Spetsnaz assets further east that are highly capable, very well trained, that could be deployed in case of some sort of operation were to take place. But the Military and Foreign Affairs channel will continue to monitor the situation and report as needed. Thanks, everybody.